Hey everybody, we're here with another IT services video. This week we're going to be talking about Wi-Fi security. So our thought is, you're bouncing around on a business trip, you're accessing strange Wi-Fi networks, you open up your phone or your laptop and you see there's a big list of things, and we want to try to give you some tips to vet these networks so you know which ones are secure and which ones aren't. So here with me today I have Hunter Ford, Omnis Tech IT technician. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Thanks for your help putting this video together.
Of course.
So let's get right into it. So our main concern is someone compromising our network, getting into our data. What can a hacker do if he gets into, if he connects to your devices on Wi-Fi, or what does that look like?
So what we usually see for using Wi-Fi maliciously is either someone gets onto your Wi-Fi network and gains control of it, and then they're able to basically, if they have control of, let's say, your router, they can set up settings to try to basically siphon information from your device, like your phone's MAC address or your device's MAC address or the IP address it's using. It can see the packets of data your device is sending to the router, to send out on the internet. Credit card information, passwords, stuff like that. While a lot of sites do use encryption and stuff, at least on your local network, it's a little less protected. It's pretty common to see with public Wi-Fi, basically someone pretending to be that public Wi-Fi connection, but maybe with a letter different or something, might be unsecured compared to secured, that sort of thing, where they're trying to get you to connect so that they can start siphoning information off your connection.
Sure. So to prevent that, how do we kind of tell Wi-Fi networks apart with like security protocols? And
most establishments will say what their Wi-Fi is named and if it has a password and stuff like that. So I think it's always smart. Don't just immediately assume that an open Wi-Fi network is it is that company's Wi-Fi network. You always want to double check. Most places will say, our Wi-Fi network is called this with this password. Or if you see a Wi-Fi connection, maybe ask someone who works there, hey, is this your guys' Wi-Fi? I don't want to accidentally connect to, just some random hotspot someone has.
Right.
And when it comes to security on Wi-Fi networks, we see there's a wide range of different protocols and everything. WEP is the oldest protocol. It's used on some devices still, but for the most part, you don't see it used too often anymore because it's not very secure. But it works on everything. Everything works with WEP. And then you move on up to WPA, which works with just about everything. I believe it still works with most devices, even old wireless adapters and everything. And it has a little bit more security to it when it comes to when you connect, you basically get a key from the Wi-Fi to say that you're okay to be on that network. It's secure, but it's not the most secure. And just as you go up the ladder, you get more and more secure with more, but you start to lose the lower end of devices. Let's say, I think WPA2 works with most wireless adapters made from like 2006 and forward.
Okay.
So if anything, that also helps with security to an extent because those older devices are less secure just due to their age.
So definitely WEP, if that's what you're running on, is definitely due for an upgrade.
Yes. You probably won't see WEP used in anything current. I'd be very surprised.
Okay. And so in that theme, a lot of times if you're in a business or a hotel or something like that, you'll see guest networks. Can you explain what a guest network is and how that works? Because that is the tempting option.
Yeah. A lot of companies do have guest networks, and it's smart to have one because you want, your guests, maybe business partners, to be able to connect to the internet and access data, but you don't want them getting on your main network. A guest network is set up using what's called a VLAN, which is a virtual LAN connection, which when you are connected to that VLAN, it's its own separate network compared to your main network where all of your internal stuff goes on. It keeps it separate. That way, if anything were to get compromised on that little guest network, or If someone tried to do something maliciously from that guest network, it can't get to your main network. It's completely segmented away.
Okay.
It's so that you don't give out a password to your main, like, it basically gets rid of the option of, someone needs Wi-Fi, like a business partner needs Wi-Fi, and you don't know that they might have something malicious on their device that they don't know about, or it's a safety thing.
Sure. And I've even seen networks like in colleges, they have like temporary guest networks. So if you have visitors, they get a temporary password and then.
Yep, a lot of what they do is you connect, it brings you to this web page where you basically either are given a code to connect, or you basically get a temporary connection, like a key connection it's sent to your phone and it is set to expire on their network after 2 hours or 45 minutes or something like that.
So it's a relatively easy thing for you guys to implement if that was something somebody
Yes,
has been trying to do for a while.
most current day routers, even home routers, allow guest networks, and I honestly suggest it if you're able to set it up, because even if it's just people coming into your house, it's another layer of security. It's very easy to set up too. And it keeps anyone from, if you have network sharing turned on a device on your home network and someone connects to your network and does network sharing, they can see it. They might not know how to access it, but that still is a vulnerability.
Okay. And so in that theme, visitors using your Wi-Fi, maybe you have some unwelcome visitors on your network. So what are some ways people can kind of detect that or deter that from people like poaching their Wi-Fi, basically?
What you can do is, for one, set a strong password. Don't give it out willy-nilly. You can set up a guest network, and you can set up properties on the guest network where, someone will get kicked off after an hour, or you can even set it up within your router settings. If someone just seems to keep connecting, but they're using the same devices, you can, since they have to connect using a IP address and a MAC address, you can go in and say, I don't want this MAC address connecting to my network, and basically blacklist it. It will not be able to connect anymore. Your router knows that MAC address, and it will no longer give an IP out to that MAC address.
A lot of people these days, businesses too, have a lot of wireless devices. They might have Fire Sticks, or even wireless printers, all kinds of that kind of stuff, cell phones on their network. Does that slow your speed down?
Not necessarily. It depends on what kind of traffic those devices are using. Just being connected, I would say the impact is unnoticeable. A lot of people, are starting to build their smart homes where they have light switches, Alexas, Google Home, stuff like that. Just being connected, as long as your router is not super old, it is not impacting your speeds to any noticeable amount.
Okay.
But if every single one of those devices is, as long as it's not video streaming, basically. Video streaming takes up a lot of bandwidth and a lot of just network speed because it's a lot of data, because video files are large.
Right.
So if you're streaming video, downloading, stuff like that, so if your devices are running updates, that will affect bandwidth. But even if you use every smart light in your house at once, it might take 50 to 100 of them for you to actually notice, even if they're all going off at once, to notice any sort of latency issue. Wow. And then it'll be gone as soon as they're done running.
Good to know. So I'm going to go get that smart toaster to kick on at 7:30 every morning.
It's interesting because we are adding video to a lot of different things. So there's smart fridges which have the video displays now. So if you do notice home security. So if you do have a camera system that is completely relying on your home network to transfer video, you will notice some bandwidth issues if the resolution's high enough. But a lot of these solutions, you can do it wired to a system, or they don't go so high resolution where it's super noticeable. It just depends on what your setup is. And a lot of routers are built to handle a large amount of, moving data.
Last thing we'll touch on is just some common Wi-Fi troubleshooting tips. I know it's super frustrating when your Wi-Fi just won't connect for no reason. So maybe you could tell us kind of what we can control, and then what just the internet service providers and what outages are.
Basically, my first thing is restart it. That's the biggest thing. Sometimes things get hung up just within the network, and that can cause just issues. You restart it, clears out everything. If it continues to happen, you might want to go into your settings. A lot of the time in your router settings, it'll have a feed of like errors that are piling up or anything like that. If that's clear, it might be a setting, and if you're unsure of what you might have done, it might be best to just reset to default, get a password on it, immediately rename it, all that stuff, make sure that's all set back up, clear that out. Maybe give a call to your your internet provider, and just let them know, hey, I've been having these issues, I've done all this. It's good to do your own troubleshooting before bringing your internet provider into it, unless you're just getting no connectivity at all. Something you can do is, a lot of people, you'll have a modem where your connection comes in, and then that gets your modem translates it so that your router can take it and then make your network. If you're getting no internet to your modem, if your modem's not showing signs of having connection, it's your provider. But if it's getting to your modem and then you're having issues with your internet, your router not actually pushing that connection out, then it's something with your router settings or your router in general.
Okay.
A lot of providers have a specific list of modems that work with their network.
Of course they do.
And you have to give them the MAC address of your modem for it to work.
Yeah.
Because in reality, they're just working with a much larger network where they have to do the same thing you're doing, just on a larger scale.
Sure. So basically, if your Wi-Fi is not connecting, go to your modem, see if that internet light is flashing or whatever.
Yep.
And if it's not, or if it is, then you can try to reset your router. If that doesn't work, it might be time to get IT support involved.
Yeah, when troubleshooting, it's always good to segment off and figure out, is it this? No. Is it this? No. And then you can very easily with these say modem, router, provider almost, or cable connectivity, like make sure your cable's not cut or something.
Sure.
But
cool. I think that covers Wi-Fi and some security. Anything else you wanted to cover?
with routers, they get maybe not consistent firmware updates, but they get firmware updates every once in a while. What you do is you just go into your router settings, or a lot of companies now have apps for their routers when you set them up. Makes it a lot easier for the user. You go in, you basically just click to check for a firmware update. If it finds one, it'll download it to your router, apply it. Sometimes it'll restart your router, don't worry. It'll come back up. If it doesn't, you might have to get a hold of the company that created your router. But usually those are for security purposes. They might find a speed fix, something that makes your router maybe work a little bit better, or there might be some bugs that they need to patch out, basically.
Okay. Well, thanks, Hunter.
Of course.
And you can go to omnistech.com/videos to see all the video coverage we've been putting out. Everything from passwords, so we mentioned Wi-Fi passwords, ransomware, data recovery. We're going to keep putting out videos every week, so make sure you subscribe to YouTube or check us out on our website. And that's it. Thanks for watching.